Hello class, this is Dr. Randy Butler, and I'm going to continue on with our video sessions on the milestone projects. This week we have assignment 6-2, which is the second milestone, and it is actually the last one before we go to the final project. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about some things from the previous weeks, the grading. Many of the things that are being overlooked are simple things that need to be addressed, especially in the discussions. One of the key things is a second question, where it is asking you to go back to your peers and discuss, either compare or contrast your discussion posting with another student's and make your recommendations, or like in the assignment 4 was talk about the accuracy. There was about half the class missed that one. Just make sure you read your assignments and go through the process. In fact, I want to jump over here. I'm just going to go ahead and do this because we'll talk about it again in a few minutes. Assignment requirements are like scope statements in project management. If you're going to do a project, you're going to start it out with a scope statement, and you're going to go through all of the criteria that's necessary to complete that project. And if you leave something out, if a contractor was doing something such as building a house or putting a pool in your backyard and they left something out, you'd be very angry with it because it cost you more money to go back and do it. So read your assignments. Read the assignment prompt from the rubric, read the rubric, and watch the video. And make sure, what I like to do is go back and just create a checklist of what the assignment calls for to make sure that I've completed everything. So we'll come back to this in a few minutes. I'll give you some specific examples. Going back to 6.2, we've got another case study. This is 6.07. in MindEdge. Okay, so this is the assignment. Let me move this over a little bit so we'll catch that. 6.07. Basically, it starts at 6.07, 6.07.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4. And again, this is information that it's located in Module 6. And it is the graded case study 2, part 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll take this back over here. You're not solving the case study. This case study is specifically there for you to use the data from the case study. So that's what you should concentrate on. And if the data is not there, remember you are the project manager for all of these projects, and you need to make the decisions based upon what data you need in order to fulfill the requirements of the assignment, such as the like a scope statement. You need to be able to provide that data associated with it. So I'm not grading on how you solve the case study. I'm grading on how you apply the project management principles here. If there's any missing data, you make your best guess or your best estimate in order to fulfill the requirements of the assignment. Again, don't repeat the case study back to me. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that this term, but I do see students from the past continually report back to me what the case study says, and in return, it just basically it's just going back through the process. You know, it's amazing. As I was in reviewing a lot of RFP, requests for proposals, that came in, the proposal part of it, and the contractor would repeat back to me the work that I sent out to them, and said that, well, we can do that. Well, you know, you got to be able to show proof that you can do it, and that's where what happens in case studies sometimes is that they don't give you the information you need to understand that you can perform this work and get it done. Going on to the agenda, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the announcement in week 6. We're going to talk about the templates real quickly. and then we're going to go through some specific points that I'm seeing students overlook in these case studies. So let me find where I'm at here. Let's start out with the rubric, and we'll go through it real quickly here. These are the two areas that we're concentrating on this week is project planning and project execution. So when you start your assignment, be sure you read this rubric. It is located in the module section in under 6, and you can click on it, or you can just review it here directly from the video. But one of the key things here is as you're going through this, each one of these items, I'm finding that students are overlooking these or combining these. And that what happens is I don't see it, and it's hard to find it. So unless you pretty well organized your paper by these critical elements, it really makes it much easier for me, and also it should make it much easier for you. So be sure that you go through the rubric and make sure you have have completed all of these items that are required. The assignment for week 6 and the announcements, let's scroll down and walk through the items that are needed for each one of the elements of the rubric. Business requirements, you're not going to find any of the business requirements. More likely in the case study, you might find a couple of them. You're probably going to have to go out and find those in articles. A good place to go is pmi.org. There's no template for that. Just write a paragraph and describe what the business requirements are. Also on the next one is about the establish who will provide the business requirements. What approach? This is the main part of the question right here. What approach will be used to solicit requirements from the subject matter experts? This is one of those things that students continually overlook every time. So you need to talk about the approach, and what the approach would be basically is how you solicit the requirements. And I do this quite a bit, is have meetings with stakeholders or subject matter experts and go through the requirements, user requirements, business requirements, and get those directly from the people by talking to them either one-on-one meetings or solicit them through surveys. There's a whole host of things to do, and I think that's pretty much covered in MindEdge. Now you're going to take these same requirements here, and you're going to basically categorize them and organize them into a standard requirements template. And I have that over here. This is what it looks like. It's pretty straightforward. You basically put the requirement number, the description, and the priority. Simple. There's not a whole lot to it, but it's one of the processes that is used. Following up the format, this is a discussion on the requirements traceability matrix and how it serves to be able to make the alignment of what you're producing with what was in the scope statement, or it could be from the project to the strategic goals, as we found out in the last milestone. There's no template there. Now here we go through a project schedule and increasing the information that's required. First we do a high level, and I think that is part F. Okay, this is part E is first, where we put in the milestone, and you can either take these directly from your business requirements is fine. If you want to use your business requirements and basically show, you could just take these out and do a little color routine on them or something of that nature to show the dates. You put the dates in here, something like that, and to show the different levels. I think the assignment calls for using software. If you want to use software, that's fine. Microsoft Project, Smartsheet, or any of those, that'll be fine. But as you go through, there's 3 different levels here. We got E, we got F. Now with F, what we do is we add in the, it's a little bit We add in the duration, and we assign resources to it, doing the same thing, using the same schedule we started out here with Part E. And then we finish it out with Part G, where we have the duration. These get a little bit off after time, overusing them over and over again. But you have the same, you just keep carrying the milestones forward, you carry the resource forward, the duration. Now you basically calculate the labor and the estimated cost for the project and continue on with your same project schedule out here. Pretty straightforward, very simplistic, and at the lowest level, these things get very complicated if you use Primavera or some of the other software products out that are very high-end, requires a lot more detail. So you got those three templates. The next one is the implementation approach, where you talk about the Agile and the Waterfall, and you can basically give the advantages and disadvantages, but be sure you discuss both of them and make a recommendation. The next item is the project schedule. This confuses a lot of students because they're thinking they have to go back up here and create something. This is talking about the way that you can manage your project schedule. We're talking about crashing, fast tracking, resource leveling, resource smoothing. It's not shown here, but that's another one that can be done. In order to, if you start to have schedule slippage, you can apply one of these concepts. The differences between them, like crashing requires more resources, costs more. Fast tracking is doing parallel activities. Resource leveling is moving the resources around, which could be changing the start and finish dates. So there's some things that can be done in order to manage the schedule. These are accepted practices here, so you need to talk about them, and then you can make a recommendation. And finally, what we talked about this past week in week 5 in communication approaches, I do have a template for that. Let me see if I can find it here. This is a straightforward template. I know we talked about the communication plan. You can discuss the communication plan in your submission, and here is include a template associated with what you have to communicate, who's going to communicate, who's going to receive it, what time frame, what type of sharing would be required, the frequency of it, and the team member assigned to do the communication. And finally, I do have a template here that is associated with the cover page. So this is basically just to get you started, and I do have the areas, so you can take each one of these areas and basically do your paragraph, and then include your description of the process associated with it. I do want to go back here now, talk a little bit more about the announcement. These are the items, and one of the key points here is the fact that this assignment is now up to 150 points. When we get to week 9, the final projects, that's worth 300 points. So by the way, you do have week 7 off next week. You don't have an assignment for week 7, which is really getting yourself ready for the final project. Do have a process here, a little video that I put up on the last assignment video, where how to merge going from portrait to landscape and then back to portrait in your Word document. So again, this is your matrix. Let me go back to this agenda. I do want to talk about again the fact that I'll blow this up a little bit. These areas on this is when you skip a whole section, you lose the points for that section, and that could add up after a while and go. So make sure you reply to each section of the assignment. That's pretty much all I have this evening for assignment 6.2. If you have any questions, please post them on the general questions. And I watch that every day. So I hope I'm getting back to everybody in a timely manner. And that's pretty much it. Good luck, and we'll have another video for the week 9, which is the final project. I'll do that in week 8. Thank you.